Good evening, New York City and my listeners around the world. This is your host, Elizabeth Tripp. You're listening live to Luminous Life podcast here in New York City. I'm so excited to be here. You guys all know this is my favorite day of the week where we all get to come together and really start to look at our life experience, really explore our trials and trepidations, our pains and challenges, and see the deeper meaning of these experiences. I really love to empower you all to shift your perspectives and begin to explore the opportunities available to you as you start to look into these experiences and see what they can offer us. Luminous Life is truly about bridging our human experiences, our trials and trepidations to our soul's lessons, to allow us to learn and grow and expand. And what I also love to do, it's such an incredible thing to bring to the show, is I always invite the universe to join us, to allow for me to be able to open myself up and offer the wisdom of the universe, as to ensure that each person who turns into the show gets what they need, really the deeper reason to why they've been guided to my work and to tune into tonight's broadcast. I'm a firm believer that everybody's here for a reason and that there is just no coincidence. So that's so exciting. So I want to invite you to really sit back and relax and enjoy this broadcast and really let your heart open up to the things that you need to hear, the spaces in which you're ready to shift for yourself today. So one thing I was thinking about before I dive into tonight's broadcast is another thing that I often do on my solo shows is I integrate storytelling. And when I really think about storytelling, when I really start to explore it, I see it as this beautiful, beautiful unifying force in our lives. In fact, when we look at ourselves from a physical standpoint, we can see so many differences. You know, the shape of our eyes or nose or body or the texture or tone of our skin. We can notice what separates us. But in our human stories, in our human journeys, the trials and challenges and the things that we go through, those are actually unifying pieces that really allow for us to see ourselves within each other. And that is what I think is the most extraordinary part of being here today. Really being able to share my life experience, really being able to share this journey that I've been on, this spiritual awakening that I've had, and to allow these tales to really serve as gateways or access points for you to begin to start to see yourself within me or within any of the guests that I bring on. And so that's why I love hosting Luminous Life. And let me just remind you that you can always find me live on YouTube. It's bit.ly/Luminous Life podcast. As well, of course, we're busy people. We're probably, running around work or meeting up with friends or, perhaps on vacation at times. So you could always download the podcast on any major platforming sites like iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. So they're available every week. All right, so let's shift a little bit. We're going to be talking about manifesting the now, and really over the last few episodes of Luminous Life, we've been talking about coming back to the here and now, really seeing presence as a superpower, as something that when we allow ourselves to sink into having more awareness to where we are in our life, to the experience that we're going through, that we can then open up a doorway to learn so much more about ourselves, more about our habitual patterns of thought, about the running storylines that may be actually creating things in our life that don't feel very powerful or aren't in truly alignment with what we want and desire. You know, in my work, I call that the little self, right? But if you haven't worked with me before, then this can be a whole new conversation for you. But truly, we are often writing a story within ourselves based off of our experiences that we've had growing up or very little, that often isn't serving us in the most beneficial way, that truly starts to limit us in our life experiences and hinders us from expressing so authentically and truly who we are. And so in Luminous Life podcast and in the episodes we've talked about over the last few weeks, I really allow for you to start to begin to see the power in practicing awareness. Really pausing to these automatic reactions and behaviors that we engage in when life occurs for us. Because so many of us here in today, in the now, are often believing that life is truly happening to them and not for them. There's a difference in that. When life is happening to you, you can feel like you're at the mercy of it. And you can also begin to run very big and very gigantic storylines about how things don't work out for you, or how people are always out to get you, or how things just don't happen for you, or maybe that things aren't possible. We start to limit ourselves in ways that we have very little conscious awareness often at times. So why do I bring these topics up? Why do I bring these to the table? Well, like I shared, I've been there. I've done that. I've actually lived through the struggle. I've felt at times in my life the very lowest of lows and contemplated at moments if this existence was even where I wanted to be. I've really felt like I was climbing mountains to reach my goals. Lost, confused, heartbroken, defeated, frustrated. And truly, I want something different for you. I truly believe that each and every single one of you deserve to live powerful lives. Lives where you can be truly happy, live with more freedom, have ease, find that success in your career or purpose, really attract that wonderful relationship, really get that big gig and let that cash roll in, or, do that big thing that you've always really dreamed of. That is really, for me, something that I really want to see happen for you. And what it really comes down to is the question of, well, how do I get there? Elizabeth, that sounds like something really amazing. It sounds like a dream. It sounds like, of course, I would want that. And again, tying back to these conversations we've had about being in the present moment, really allowing ourselves to sink deeper into awareness is where we can find the answer to that. Because so many of us in our life experiences, in our challenges, in our trepidations, in our heartache, in our sorrow, we often reach to the future. We worry. How's it going to happen? How's it going to work? And what could I do to make this happen and work? So we push and we pull. Or oftentimes we may really find ourselves tied to the past, really hashing over past experiences or interactions and mulling over what we could have done differently, and the woulda, shoulda, coulda kind of conversation. that draws our mind out of what's actually occurring for us and into oftentimes so much chaos. And what we do automatically as humans is often reach for things to satisfy us, to make ourselves feel better in these moments. And they can be things like food or alcohol or sex or gambling, you name it, right, guys? We've all talked about that. So what I want to do is continue in tonight's broadcast, really this show of manifesting the now. Like, how do we really do this? Well, I want to continue on this conversation of presence. It's a never-ending conversation, really, and something that we as spiritual beings or even just regular people whom have a curiosity about the universe will always want to practice or have or invite into their life because it is such a beautiful gift and tool. Because within the here and now is everything, truly. So in this space too is the very powerful place of manifestation. And I have so many clients out there who really come to me and are wanting to understand how to create things in their life and how to get that to flow in. There is this curiosity to work with the universe and or the creator or something bigger than ourselves to be able to really attract what we want and really have that come forward in our lives. Boy, do I love that. And I love that in so many ways because we can look at this on so many different perspectives of our life as well as so many different areas too. First, we can look at this through body. Maybe we're wanting to create a more healthier version of ourselves or transform our eating habits, maybe lose some pounds or gain some muscles. Or perhaps maybe we're looking at this through a relationship lens. Maybe we want to attract a really powerful partner, somebody that we can feel really that is matching us on many levels. And or maybe we're looking at this manifestation element in our finances. That's such a big one for so many people. How can we draw more money into our life, or how can we get the kind of income that we're truly looking for? As well as I work with so many people that want to do this in career and purpose. They have big dreams that they want to out and accomplish and really set forth and attract for themselves. So this is such a loaded podcast, really an opportunity for us to look at some big elements here to help open up a doorway for you all to become really incredible manifestors. And in tonight's podcast, I'm going to bring that story element in, and I'm going to share that for the reason of allowing you all to come along with me and see where I've been and understand where I've come from in order to get to the places that I am. As well as give you the opportunity to really look into yourself during this broadcast and see the places that are in need of being shifted or transformed. It's so incredible to actually honor the things like grief or pain or suffering or challenge so that you can see that there are gifts available like happiness and love and freedom and success. There's a really beautiful parallel to these two kinds of things that are often so present in every human journey. So let's get started. So what I love to do is just have everyone take a nice big deep breath with me as we really start to settle into the podcast and start to explore the manifestation or manifesting the now. So letting that all out, letting the stresses of our day, letting the occurrences that we've carried, letting them leave our system, and really quite powerfully setting the intention that the universe is actually joining us and powerfully communicating through me and allowing for me to share exactly what you need for tonight. So as we begin, there is so much freedom we can find in presence. And like I said, there is so much available that we can do in presence, in that space of awareness. And actually, this is a space where manifestation occurs, because in the present moment, we are able to be aware of how we are thinking and feeling. If we are caught in the future and if we are chained to the past, we're actually not in full presence of our mind and our emotional well-being. And so in a present moment practice, we're actually drawing more awareness to our thoughts and our feelings. And so why do I bring this to the table surrounding manifestation? Well, like the great Buddha said, what we think, we become. And so in my point of view, in what the messaging I bring to all of my listeners out there and the beautiful souls I work with in my private practice, is that our thoughts are very powerful. Thoughts are things, in fact. And I always give this example, but have you ever thought of somebody and then suddenly they are texting you or calling you and you think to yourself, aha, that was different or that was strange? Well, actually, that was the law of the universe working and the law of energy happening. And some of you out there who have explored this philosophy before, it's the law of attraction. Like attracts like. Energy attracts like energy. So the other interesting thing that I believe is that the universe does not have a bias for what we want. Doesn't have, a real say that it wants one thing or the other for us. The universe really wants us to experience and to get the most out of our experiences, and hopefully, learn, grow, expand, and transform. There is this really desire for many of us to keep evolving, and that's truly what the universe wants for us. And so in thinking in that way, it is this force or energy, the universe, that delivers us what we ask for, what we're thinking. It's a completely new concept, right? It's something sometimes very different than we often think. But it then lends us to the idea or the notion that we are these powerful creators, that just who we are very powerful beings. And something that I see that often people forget because of what life is offering them in this time or in this moment, whether that be a breakup or, a loss or an accident or, worry or feeling anxious about a loved one or family, that we forget how powerful we are. We actually don't know because we're reacting to life rather than responding to it and seeing opportunity there and a space for exploration and self-discovery. So, meaning instead of believing, like I said, that life is happening to us, we in tonight are actually opening ourselves up to the possibility that life could happen for us. When we take back our power and start to see that the way we think and feel moment to moment actually attracts certain people and places and spaces to us. It's quite interestingly, but it's the way that I usually, I'm not even going to say usually, always live my life. I believe that my thoughts are very powerful, and what I think is created, or what I think therefore is then happening or is being created for me. So it's taken a while, it's taken a long time for me to be able to get to that space, but I found a really easy route to accessing that. And that was just uncovering the unhealthy and not so powerful thoughts that I was having and getting to the root cause of them, the very, very bottom of what I was thinking and why. So that's exactly what usually holds us back from manifesting and creating a life that we truly desire. Thoughts and feelings that we're thinking that truly aren't helping us get from A to B. So when making manifestation very easy, the first thing that we want to do is get aware of thoughts and feelings that are actually creating a gap between what we want. So I have an example that I want to share with you guys. And it has very simple meaning, right? That think about it this way. You have, let's say, a desire to flow in a big lump sum of cash. Let's say somewhere like $5,000, right? You've got some expenses coming up, or you want to start saving, or you want to, make room for a big move or transition in your life. And so let's say you come up with a way to get that money. And I'll speak to the entrepreneurs out there. So you come up with like a deal, right, for your business, and you start to explore, ways that you want to promote this deal on your service. Let's say you offer some sort of service to the community or to the public. So you think about, okay, I really want this $5,000. I really need it. And I really have to have it because I am in need of doing this next thing, whether it's the move or it's for savings or it's, for creating something in your life that you want, maybe buying something big, or maybe you need to pay somebody back, whatever it is. So let yourself think about that. And so you set out this whole thing and you're like, okay, I'm going to send out a mass email to all of my clients, and I'm going to do it every day, and I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to make sure they know it's a super deal. And even, I'm going to go around, I'm going to tell everybody about it, right? I'm going to push myself to make sure that I really put myself out there, right? So just seeing now, we've come up with a plan. We have this want, we have this desire. We want $5,000. We're beginning to say, I have to have that. It's so important that I get this. We have something that we need it for, right? And so I want us to just slow down and let us investigate the deeper thoughts and feelings we are having in this conversation, by just letting us kind of look at the language, right? Our brain, our automatic mind says, I have to have this $5,000. I really need it. It's something that I want right now. So when we look at that conversation, when we really start to explore it, what are we saying to ourselves in the universe? Are we coming from a space of abundance, right? Or are we coming from a space of lack, that we don't have what we want and that we are in deficit of what we're looking for? And so just slowing down, I'm imagining when you're hearing, I want this, I need this, you can actually hear that deficit conversation. You can hear that lack conversation. And so when we think about ourselves as powerful beings, and that our thoughts are powerful and that they directly communicate to the universe, that there's this larger than ourselves force that actually responds to how we're thinking and feeling, right? Those quantum physics people out there, these scientists that have discovered that we are energy, and that the energy we give off, we actually bring towards us. So our thoughts have momentum and force. So think about that thought. I have to have it. I need it. It becomes a moving energy. And let's think about the universe as this like invisible field, right? A current that runs through things. And even fascinatingly, to help you guys visualize this, science even says that between the positive and negative charge of batteries or of, things that have that charge, lost for words there, right? That in between them, you would think that there would be nothing there, right? But if you look very closely under a microscope, in between the positive and negative, because you would think they'd be together, there's actually an invisible energy current. There's a very small current that runs through them of energy. And scientists remark that it's just an invisible force. And so let's consider that. Let's open our minds up. Let's explore that notion as though that invisible force is actually running through all of our existence. It's actually a part of everything in our life. And it responds to us. It responds to the way we're thinking and feeling. So what does the universe hear when we say, I want, I have to? And we could even apply this, let's say it's not $5,000, but to our weight, to our shape, to our size. Like, I have to lose 10 pounds, or I want to be healthier. Remember, we're tuning in and we're listening for the language. And we're hearing, is there an abundance conversation, or are we coming from a space of lack? And I'm pretty sure through these examples that you can hear that there's a deficit in that conversation. So what happens then? We move farther away from what we want, right? Despite all of our hard efforts, despite all that pushing, despite all that trying to get out there, even lowering all of our prices or going to the gym super hard and always watching what we're eating, we don't see the result that we want. And I can tell you, I have felt that way in so many different aspects of my life. In fact, I can remember really sitting on the couch of my old apartment and really tears streaming down my face. It had been 24 hours since my boyfriend had broken up with me. And yet again, I felt like I had been defeated, like I had been run over, or that how would my life ever be the same? And why couldn't I find a relationship that could work for me? And I remember feeling like I was destined to be alone, and that I was just always going to have to go through heartache and challenge to be with someone. And I remember looking back and feeling so sad. And so when I share that experience, when I share that story, it wasn't until a couple of months later when I connected with somebody whom was a healer, a transformational coach, that really just had this beautiful way of working with me, where he helped me see that the way I was thinking and feeling had really attracted this person into my life, had really brought them in, and not to cause me suffering, but to wake me up and to really help me see through this challenge who I really wanted to be and how this was a catalyst for transformation for me. So fascinating when I really allowed myself to hear that message and look introspectively into myself. I was capable of tossing away those old paradigms. I need to be with someone, or I'm destined to be alone, or it's always going to be painful. And recognizing that my thoughts have tremendous power, and that how I think and how I feel actually brings forward the kinds of people that I want to have in my life. So instead, creating an abundance conversation. I always meet people that are enjoyable or friendly and truly are loving of me and myself and have a strong love for themselves too. And it's easy for me to make or find relationships. And I know that everybody just really enjoys and truly loves being with me. So that's just a little taste of that kind of conversation. But coming back to this, example of $5,000 that we want. So we're hearing, we're not getting it and it's not happening for us. So now we're disappointed, just like when I sat on that couch and I had those feelings of just loss and sadness and real deep sorrow within. We're starting to feel the impact of the way we've been thinking and feeling. And we don't even know. It's on so much of a deeper level, so much of a subconscious level. So let's say we're back into the scenario with the $5,000 and this now you're scrambling, right? You're really trying to find an answer to why things haven't been working out. It feels completely out of reach, right? Just quite similarly, it felt so out of the park to be able to meet someone that really was, could be a really great match for me. That was my old way of thinking. And the thing is here is that those examples that I bring to the table is that we haven't recognized that our thoughts are powerful. We haven't recognized how the universe truly responds to us. Remember, it doesn't have a bias. It gives us how we feel and the things that we think. This, if anything, could be the most powerful thing you receive out of this message. And that we as individuals have this choice, we have this ability to really decide for ourselves today how we want to think and how we want to feel at any given circumstance, even in the most challenging. As I sat on that couch and I allowed myself to be in that pain, I knew that I couldn't stay there for long and that I needed to find a way to express myself and understand what I was going through. There was a pull for me to want to transform. So we are seeing that when we want to shift our thoughts and feelings, it's a willingness we have to reach for to be able to look into them and understand them. And that is just so powerful, because it leads us to presence and it leads us to be able to then be more in sync with what we're thinking and, as a result, manifest what we want. So some examples then, as I transformed my conversation, not just in relationship, but also body and career and success, right? This was a 4-year journey. I have met the most incredible people. I have, been able to open the most fulfilling practice. I have a private practice called Nourish the Soul in New York, and it's a space where I'm able to really now work with people on such an incredible level. Clients just flow to me. Money just finds its way. Kind, wonderful, loving people show up for me every day. Synchronistic opportunities just tend to unfold right before my eyes. And it's because I have this powerful relationship with my thoughts and my feelings. I understand that the way I'm thinking has an incredible impact in the reality in which I'm living. I've moved out of being a victim and have allowed myself to see life is occurring and the challenges and trepidations are for a reason. And so I want to offer you all that today. So in manifesting, we want to be able to see that we're in the driver's seat. How do we get there? Well, we need to examine the way we're thinking and feeling and really get to the root cause, the bottom of something that limits us from getting what we want. The guy that wanted $5,000 or the gal that wanted the $5,000, we need to get to the bottom of why she thinks that's not, or he thinks it's not possible. And the old me, the little me who had that running conversation that I truly wasn't good enough, that I wasn't deserving of someone who truly cared for me in a very deeply loving manner, that I needed to get to the bottom of that self-exploration in order to manifest something powerful for myself. And let me tell you, as I've shifted these things, life, like I said, has completely transformed. So what I want to leave you with you, or what I want to leave all of you tonight, is a really powerful conversation that when you are manifesting, the first step is really presence. Get aware of how you're thinking and feeling. Allow yourself to go on that journey. Allow yourself to observe the conversation. Perhaps journal. Go for a big walk. Do some sort of connection type exercise to your mind and body. And then get clear with yourself. And if you truly want the help and you really, really want to get to the bottom of this, connect with me. My website is nourishthesoul.nyc. You can click on the services tab and get started working with me today. So ladies and gentlemen, this really concludes Manifesting the Now. This is your host, Elizabeth Tripp of Luminous Life Podcast, signing off